Day 5 of the Daily Stoic 365-day devotional. We're jumping in here. It's day 5. Clarify your intentions. Quote, "Let all your efforts be directed to something. Let it keep that end in view. It's not activity that disturbs people, but false conceptions of things that drive them mad." Seneca, On Tranquility of Mind, 12.5. Law 29 of the 48 Laws of Power is, plan all the way to the end. Robert Greene writes, quote, "By planning to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances, and you will know when to stop. Gently guide fortune and help determine the future by thinking far ahead." The second habit of the 7 habits of highly effective people is, begin with the end in mind. Having an end in mind is no guarantee that you'll reach it. No Stoic would tolerate that assumption. But not having an end in mind is a guarantee you won't. To the Stoics, oasis, or false conceptions, are responsible not only for just disturbances in the soul, but for chaotic and dysfunctional lives and operations. When your efforts are not directed at a cause or a purpose, how will you know what to do day in and day out? How will you know what to say no to and what to say yes to? How will you know when you've had enough, when you've reached your goal, when you've gotten off tracks, if you've ever defined what those things are? The answer is that you cannot. And so if you are driven into failure, or worse, into madness by the oblivion of directionlessness. This is so crucial. I talk about this all the time. So the 48 Laws of Power, they say here, is planning to the end. I don't believe in that. I believe in agile. I believe that 99.999% of life you can't control, and you just don't know what's going to ever happen. So you just have to respond appropriately to the emergent things that happen in the day. Now, he also talks about the 7 habits of highly effective people. Begin with the end in mind. Now, these 2 quotes aren't wrong. You should have a goal, right? I could bring up a Harvard study that years ago, they I think they followed like 100 students for like 20 years, and the 9 that wrote down their goals, I don't remember the numbers, but the 9 that wrote down their goals out of the 100 that didn't write their goals, or the 91 that didn't, the 9 people that wrote down their goals earned more than the 91 of the others combined, or something like that. It doesn't matter though. Let me just tell you from my experience, goal setting it's so important. If you don't know what your goal is, if you don't know where you're headed, then you're not going to direct yourselves towards that. You're not going to start thinking in that way. You're not going to start creating behavior patterns. You're not going to start deciding and making decisions that move you towards that goal, that direction. Having a goal, having a direction, having a purpose is what makes man fulfilled. It is what makes man's life worth living. As I was reading this, and they were talking about how if you don't have this goal, I thought about just thrashing. The amount of thrashing that happens in this world, men. I actually, I can see it. I have worked with men that have been amazingly successful in their lives. They're past the midpoint in their lives. They've gone through maybe the midlife crisis, but they're still thrashing. Now, what do I mean by that? When I talk with them and I sit down with them, I can tell they got money and they are bored as hell. And they are trying to figure out, how do I do something with my life? How do I find purpose in this life? Peter, you're an entrepreneur, you're an operator. Can I invest in you? You have a venture fund. It ends up being really unsophisticated money because they're so bored and they're so purposeless that they'll just throw money at anything just to hope and spark some fire in them, some life again. So guys, make a goal. Day 5, the Daily Stoic. Clarify your intentions. Where are you headed today? What are you doing?